for when you are signing a record label contract. So let's get right into it. So there are instances where we, the fans, we feel like an artist may be going through a tough phase under a record label, and then the artist won't leave. And we'll be discussing why has he not left? He's going through a lot, blah 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 blah. One of the reasons why an artist may still be under a record label is the agreement or the contract he or she signed when the person was being signed into the record label. So when signing a record label contract, it is crucial and important that you review all clauses to protect your best interest. So here are some clauses you need to look out for when signing that record label. So the first one I'm talking about is duration and termination. So you need to determine the length of the contract. Is it 5 years? Will it be 3 years? Then after 3 years, are you to renew for another 5 years? You need to know when you are seeing the contract. Read these clauses. Know what you need to know the terms you are signing for, or the duration you are signing for, and the conditions of the termination. And sometimes that the contract might be terminated after 5 years with the record label. But there's some instances or some conducts that could actually automatically terminate the contract as breach. So you need to know, in fact, see this contract as your Bible. Check the contract almost every day so you familiarize yourself with the terms and conditions. And if you don't understand it, of course, give a lawyer. So number 2 is royalties and advances. So you need to understand how you will be compensated for your music, which would include the royalty rates, advances provided. So what are royalties? Royalties are essentially the payments made to the artist by the label or third parties for using the copyright of the artist. If you remember from our previous session where I said you could actually make profits from a copyright, which applies to this instance. So this includes any profits that can be made from streaming, merchandise, performance, record sales, amongst other revenue streams. So it is important that the artist remembers that the royalties will be paid after they've deducted all expenses. Not as if when maybe you make how will I put it, when the money comes in you think everything should be your own, but it does not work like that. It will be deducted after expenses which the record label has incurred on your behalf. So once they deduct it, and the thing is that there's no a fixed ratio. Artists can actually protect themselves by engaging in professional, engage a professional in the industry or a lawyer that would help you negotiate a price. You can do 60-40, depending on what you want. So the third one I'll be talking about, which is the third clause you need to look out for when signing a record label contract, is ownership and control. This is everything. Like, ownership and control is actually everything. So ownership and control is a clause that is very controversial and crucial. Basically, all clauses in the agreement are very crucial, and it is crucial because it would outline your creative work, how you want it to be owned, how you want it to be controlled. The ownership, does it belong to me? For the time I'll be the record label, it might be with the record label. Then once I'm done, once the agreement is over, automatically I become the owner. You need to clarify who owns the rights to your music, which includes the publishing rights, how you can also how much creative control you would retain, being under their label. So let me just give you an example of how these clauses might look like. So let me read it out for you. So the clauses might actually look like this. The artist acknowledges and agrees that all sound recordings created during this term of this agreement shall be the property of the company, which is the record label, subject to the rights and royalties specified. So if the clauses are actually couched like this, or it looks similar to this, then give a lawyer to help you read the terms, understand the terms, and explain what it means for you in simple English. So the fourth one I'm talking about, which is the clauses you need to look out for when signing a record label contract, is exclusivity. So this clause is actually significant. This clause can significantly impact the artist's career, your freedom, your artistic freedom here. So it's essential for you to understand this clause itself. So you have to be aware of this exclusivity clauses that restrict your ability to work with other labels. Some will tell you that once you are with so brand, you can't work with other people. They have to be the one to help you look for collaboration elsewhere. Things like this. So some of the examples or a way this clause can actually be couched is: in the event of termination of this agreement, the record label shall retain the right to distribute and exploit sound recordings created during the term as per the agreement, subject to any financial obligation and rights reversion as specified in the agreement. So if the clauses are actually couched like this, then in fact, you don't even need to read how it is couched. You don't understand it. Give a professional to help you decode this and explain in simplified English. So the fifth one I'm talking about is distribution and promotion. So how do you want your creative work distributed, promotion? So you need to ensure that the contract outlines how your music will be distributed and promoted. Promotion is everything for a musician, which would include marketing commitments from the label. How committed are they? The clause should specify distribution rights granted to the record label. So it would include territories in which the label has rights to distribute your music or your work. It could be physical or online. So the sixth one I'm talking about is expenses and deduction. So you have to pay attention to any expenses or any expense the label deducts from your earnings. Some of them will tell you that flights. Just pay attention. In fact, you have to be your accountant at that time, or you look for a lawyer that can, that foresees things like this, that can help you, so that once they are giving you earnings, you don't say, why is it $40,000 and we made 100 million, so you won't feel cheated, or so they won't cheat you. And then the other one I'm talking about is territorial rights. You need to determine the geographic regions where the label can actually distribute your music. Some of them don't have, and the only place they can distribute your song is only Nigeria. It cannot go outside Nigeria. You need to determine where it can go. And then ownership of masters. This is important. So masters are the original recordings of music created by the artist, which is you, and they are used to produce copies for distribution. The original itself, when I'm singing my original song, being used for other distribution, streaming, and other various types, other purposes. So an artist, as an artist, you need to clarify whether you want to retain ownership. Maybe it's after you leave the record label, ownership is automatically vested on you, how you want it. So in some cases, the artist can negotiate. The artist may want to retain the ownership of the masters. So this means that the record label is granted a license. Don't forget our copyright session where I discussed that you can make profit from your copyright. So you can basically grant a license, meaning that you are still the original owner. License for them to use the masters for specific purpose and period, like distribution and promotion. But ultimate ownership remains or retains with you as the artist. And then this one, I need to talk about it, which is dispute resolution. So you need to understand the processes in which you can resolve disputes. Whether it is through arbitration, maybe mediation, maybe litigation. I'm sure you don't want a dirty fight. I know why I said so. Most times it's all over the news when an artist is already fighting, and can you imagine something they want to fight and things like that. That is why it is advisable for you. Most times you see some contracts. I'm trying to divert, but I need to explain this. There are some contracts that you've signed, maybe because you were desperate, you can't wait to be a superstar, and is automatically you're automatically waiving your right to that name. That is your identity. You're telling them that they own the name. So if you cannot renew contract after 5 years, and I'm already using Becca's Live, and once I leave, I can't use Becca's Live, and people already know me as Becca's Live. Of course, come on. I've been in the record label for 5 years. People would know me with that name. Imagine I'm leaving that record label without that name. So how do people reach me? How do they find me? When I drop a song, how do they know I'm the one? Except people that like me for my voice, and this is Becca's Live, she's the one singing. I like her song, I know she's the one. Just that imagine you had this Becca's Live singing and you check the name and you don't see Becca's Live, you say, Are they ripping Becca's Hive off? Is this person trying to pass off as Becca's Hive? You know, name is always very important. And sometimes there's some clauses that you have to read properly, because there are some, how will I put it? When you breach some of these clauses, there are, should I say, compensation or damages that the record label will sue you for. So you need to try to negotiate. And the thing is that when you are being signed, I will tell you to put your desperation aside and focus. You know, for the fact that a record label sees you and wants to sign you means you are good enough. And if they don't want to work with your terms, of course, you can tell them you do not want to work with their terms. Other record label want to work with you. Don't, because say you are desperate, you rush yourself into the lion's den, and to come out is now the problem. All in all, I would advise you to always consult a lawyer or music industry professional that would ensure that you fully comprehend the contract terms, you know, and try to negotiate when necessary changes you want to. There's some changes you need to make so that you can protect your best interests. And I hope you'll be able to pick one or two things from what I've said. And do not forget to drop your questions in the comment section. And if there's anything you'd like us to address, do not forget to do that. And do not forget to subscribe and share. Follow us on Instagram, so any all social media platform at Accent Nominees, and Law Accent on Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, all social media platform. And we hope to see you same time, same, you know, WhatsApp, YouTube channel. And thank you for joining us. I hope to see you next week.